On August 19th, Putin opened the doors to foreigners who do not like the woke agenda of certain countries and simplified the immigration process. Can you speak to that and what's the process? Then tell me all about it, please.
Yes, on August 19th, President Putin did indeed introduce measures that make it easier for foreigners who are disillusioned with the woke agenda in their home countries to immigrate to Russia. The new rules are designed to attract individuals who share more conservative or traditional values. Key points of the decree: 1. Simplified immigration process. The decree simplifies the process for foreigners who express a desire to move to Russia for ideological reasons, particularly those who feel out of place in their home countries due to the growing influence of progressive or woke ideologies. 2. Faster path to citizenship. For these individuals, there may be a faster route to obtaining Russian citizenship. The decree might include measures like reducing the required residency period before applying for citizenship. 3. Work and residence permits. The process of obtaining work and residence permits could also be streamlined for those who fall into this category, making it easier to settle in Russia. 4. Cultural compatibility. The focus is on attracting people who align with Russian cultural values, so applicants might be assessed based on their fit with the traditional conservative norms that Russia is promoting. The process: application. Interested individuals would need to apply through the standard immigration channels, but their applications might be prioritized or fast tracked. Residency. Upon arrival, they would need to register their residence and might receive a temporary residence permit more quickly than usual. Citizenship. After meeting certain criteria, including a potentially shortened residency requirement, they could apply for Russian citizenship. This move is part of Russia's broader strategy to attract individuals who feel marginalized by the cultural shifts in their home countries, offering them an alternative that aligns more with their values.
What documents are needed to progress your application?
To progress your application for immigration to Russia under this simplified process, you would typically need the following documents. 1. Valid passport. A passport with at least 6 months of validity remaining. 2. Visa application form. A completed visa application form, depending on the type of visa you're applying for, e.g., work, residence, or citizenship. 3. Photographs. Passport size photographs as per the specific requirements of the Russian immigration authorities. 4. Proof of ideological alignment. While not standard, under this new decree, you might need to provide some form of evidence or declaration that aligns your beliefs or values with those promoted by Russia, such as a personal statement or letter of intent. 5. Background check. A criminal background check from your home country showing that you have no serious criminal record. 6. Medical certificate. A medical certificate proving that you do not have certain infectious diseases, e.g., HIV, tuberculosis, that would bar you from entering Russia. 7. Proof of financial stability. Documentation that proves you have the financial means to support yourself in Russia, such as bank statements, proof of employment, or an offer of employment from a Russian company. 8. Invitation or sponsorship letter. Depending on the visa type, you might need an invitation from a Russian citizen or organization, especially for work or residence permits. 9. Proof of residency. For those applying for residence, you'll need documents showing where you will live in Russia, such as a rental agreement or proof of property ownership. 10. Language proficiency. In some cases, proof of basic Russian language skills might be required, particularly if you're applying for permanent residence or citizenship. This list can vary depending on the specific type of visa or resident status you're applying for. So it's essential to check with the Russian consulate or immigration services for the most accurate and up-to-date requirements.
So you said to make an application would be the Russian consulate, probably Brisbane or Sydney.
Yes, if you're in Australia, you would typically apply through the Russian consulate. The closest ones would likely be in Sydney or Brisbane. The consulate can assist you with the application process, provide the necessary forms, and guide you on the specific documents required. It's always a good idea to contact the consulate directly or visit their website to get the most accurate and up to date information.
Do you know of a medical center that does the medical tests for the Russian visa?
For medical tests required for a Russian visa, particularly those related to infectious diseases like HIV and tuberculosis, you'll want to visit a medical center that offers comprehensive visa medical services. In Brisbane and Sydney, there are several clinics that specialize in visa medicals for different countries, including Russia. It's important to ensure the medical center is recognized by the Russian consulate. While I can't browse specific locations in real time, well known centers like Bupa Medical Visa Services or Health and Immigration Medicals might offer these services. It would be best to contact them directly to confirm they can perform the required tests for the Russian visa. Additionally, you can check with the Russian consulate in Brisbane or Sydney for a list of recommended or approved medical centers. They often have specific clinics they prefer or require for these tests.
Is there a Bupa clinic that does the medical tests in Townsville, Queensland, Australia?
Bupa Medical Visa Services operates clinics across Australia, but they don't have a location in Townsville specifically for visa medicals. The nearest Bupa clinic offering visa medical services might be in Brisbane or Cairns. If you're in Townsville, it might be more convenient to either travel to a larger city like Cairns or Brisbane for the required tests, or check with local medical centers in Townsville to see if they can conduct the necessary tests. You could also contact the Russian consulate to see if they accept medical reports from local clinics in Townsville or if they have specific recommendations.
And some of those documents would need to be translated into Russian from English. Which are they?
Yes, some of your documents will need to be translated into Russian, particularly if they are to be submitted to Russian authorities. The documents typically requiring translation include 1. Passport. While the passport itself might not need translation, any accompanying documents, like a copy of your passport's identification page, might require it. 2. Visa application form. If the form is in English, it might need to be translated unless it's already provided in Russian by the consulate. 3. Background check. Your criminal background check from your home country will need to be translated into Russian. 4. Medical certificates. Any medical documents, including your medical certificate and test results, should be translated into Russian. 5. Proof of financial stability. Bank statements, employment contract, or any other financial documents might need to be translated. 6. Invitation or sponsorship letter. If this letter is not already in Russian, it will need to be translated. 7. Proof of residency. Any documents related to your housing in Russia, such as a rental agreement or property ownership documents, should be translated. 8. Educational and professional certificates. If applicable, any certificates proving your education or professional qualifications might need translation. It's crucial to use a certified translator recognized by the Russian authorities to ensure your translations are accepted. The Russian consulate can often provide guidance on certified translators or translation services.
So they need also an apostille. Which documents will need an apostille, and where can I get one from in Australia?
It sounds like you're referring to an apostille. An apostille is a form of authentication issued to documents for use in countries that are part of the Hague Apostille Convention, which includes both Russia and Australia. Documents likely to require an apostille. 1. Criminal background check. This is one of the most common documents that require an apostille, especially when it's used for immigration purposes. 2. Educational certificates. If you're submitting educational degrees or certificates, they will likely need an apostille. 3. Birth and marriage certificates. If you're including personal documents like birth or marriage certificates, these will also need to be apostilled. 4. Financial documents. Certain financial documents, like proof of income or bank statements, might require an apostille, depending on the Russian consulate's requirements. How to get an apostille in Australia? In Australia, apostilles are issued by the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade. Here's how you can get one. 1. Gather your documents. Make sure the documents you need apostilled are original or certified copies. 2. Submit your request. You can apply for an apostille either by mail or in person at a DFAT office. The major DFAT offices are located in capital cities, including Brisbane and Sydney. 3. Pay the fee. There is a fee for each document you need apostilled. 4. Processing time. Depending on how you submit your documents, the processing time can vary. It's usually quicker if done in person. You can find more information and the application forms on the DFAT website. It's always a good idea to contact the Russian consulate beforehand to confirm exactly which documents require an apostille.
Would I need medical insurance in Russia?
Yes, you will likely need medical insurance in Russia, especially if you're applying for a long-term visa or residence permit. Here's what you need to know. 1. Health insurance requirement. Russia requires foreigners to have valid medical insurance that covers their stay in the country. This is particularly important if you're applying for a work visa, residence permit, or long-term stay. 2. Types of insurance. The insurance should cover medical expenses, including emergency care and hospitalization. Some policies also cover repatriation in case of serious illness or injury. 3. Where to get it. You can purchase medical insurance either from a Russian insurance company or from an international provider that is recognized in Russia. Some Russian consulates may have a list of approved insurance providers. 4. Proof of insurance. When applying for a visa or residence permit, you will need to provide proof of your insurance coverage, such as a certificate or policy document. 5. State medical insurance. Once you're a resident, you may also be eligible to enroll in Russia's state healthcare system, but it's still advisable to have private insurance, especially at the beginning. It's crucial to make sure your insurance meets the specific requirements of the Russian authorities. So check the consulate's guidelines or consult with your insurance provider.
How do you get a Russian tax file number?
To obtain a Russian tax file number, also known as an individual taxpayer number, INN, you'll need to follow these steps. 1. Prepare required documents. You'll need to provide your passport and any other identification documents. If you're a foreigner, you might also need to provide proof of your visa or residence permit. 2. Visit a tax office. You should go to a local tax office, federal tax service in Russia. They are typically found in major cities and regions. 3. Fill out an application. Complete the application form for the individual taxpayer number. This form is available at the tax office or on their official website. 4. Submit your documents. Submit the completed form along with your identification documents. Some tax offices might also accept applications via mail or online, but this can vary. 5. Receive your INN. After processing, which might take a few days to a few weeks, you'll receive your INN. This number is essential for conducting various legal and financial activities in Russia. If you're not currently in Russia, you may need to authorize a representative or use an agency specializing in assisting with such procedures. The Russian consulate or embassy in your home country might also offer guidance on obtaining an INN remotely.
Is there still an Australian embassy in Moscow?
As of the latest information, Australia does not have an embassy in Moscow. The Australian embassy in Russia was closed in 2022 in response to the evolving geopolitical situation.
Great.
For Australians needing consular services in Russia, the nearest Australian embassies are in nearby countries such as Poland or Kazakhstan, or you can contact the Australian Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade for assistance.
Is there anything else I need to know in this application or this process?
The process of applying for a visa or residence permit in Russia involves several steps and details to keep in mind. Here are a few additional considerations. 1. Application processing times. Be aware that processing times for visas and permits can vary, so plan ahead and apply well in advance of your intended travel date. 2. Legal requirements. Ensure you comply with all legal requirements and regulations set by the Russian authorities. This includes maintaining valid visa status and adhering to local laws. 3. Document authentication. Make sure all documents are properly authenticated, translated, and apostilled as needed. 4. Local registration. Once in Russia, you may need to register your place of residence with local authorities within a certain period after arrival. 5.
7 days.
Healthcare. Ensure you have adequate medical insurance coverage for your stay in Russia. 6. Consulate communication. Stay in contact with the Russian consulate or embassy for any updates or additional requirements related to your application. 7. Legal assistance. If the process seems complex, consider seeking legal advice or assistance from an immigration consultant familiar with Russian regulations. These steps can help ensure a smoother application process and compliance with Russian immigration laws.